This video is designed to help you become familiar with the benefits and features of the Waters Instruments Oxicom 3000. Designed for stringent cath lab standards, you can rely on the Oxicom 3000 for accurate, repeatable saturation readings in 10 seconds, automatically computed AVO2 difference, safe, convenient disposable cuvettes that prevent contact with blood, and simple, maintenance-free operation. For your convenience, this video has 4 sections which can be viewed in order and reviewed in any order should the need arise. Section 1, Benefits of the Oxicom 3000. Section 2, General operation of the Oxicom 3000. Section 3, Blood handling techniques. And Section 4, Calibration. Benefits. Oxicom 3000 benefits include fiber optic technology and a solid-state detector, proven in the Oxicom 2000, that provides you with accurate and repeatable measurements. In the oxygen saturation mode, the 3000 will provide results on the measurement display in less than 10 seconds. For convenience and accuracy in determining cardiac output by the Fick method, the Oxicom 3000 calculates oxygen content of the arterial and mixed venous samples and computes AVO2 difference. Simply input your patient's hemoglobin and obtain the oxygen saturation readings. The 3000 does the rest automatically and will always review each step in the calculation by means of the mode display. Contact with blood and contaminated waste products is virtually eliminated with the Oxicom 3000. Blood samples are injected into a sealed cuvette which is easily inserted into the sample chamber. Cuvettes are then disposed with other hospital waste. Operation. Operation of all modes of the Oxicom 3000 is simple and maintenance-free. To begin, place the power switch located on the back panel to the on position. The unit will first complete a display check. Then the measurement display will read WRM, indicating that it is in the timed 15-minute warm-up phase. To measure oxygen saturations, place the mode switch, also located on the back panel, in the SAT mode. Note that O2 SAT is now lit on the mode display. After the warm-up period has elapsed, the measurement display will automatically show RDY for ready, and the green start button will light. The Oxicom 3000 is now ready to measure samples. Press the green start button. Notice that the start button goes off and the display clears. The oximeter is now balancing on room air. After 6 to 7 seconds, INS for insert appears. Insert the cuvette into the sample chamber. In less than 10 seconds, the display will show the measured oxygen saturation. To measure subsequent samples, remove the cuvette from the sample chamber. The green start button will again light, and the unit is ready to measure the next sample. To calculate arterial and venous content and AVO2 difference, place the mode switch to the content mode. Note that the mode display now reads O2 content. Once the green button is lit, the Oxicom 3000 is ready. Press the green start button. The display will first flash THB for total hemoglobin, and then show a hemoglobin value. Enter your patient's hemoglobin value by pressing the up or down arrows to the right of the start button. If your value is higher, press the up arrow until the correct value is displayed. If lower, press the down arrow. After the correct hemoglobin value is displayed, press the start button to lock the hemoglobin value into memory. That value will then be used for all future content calculations until changed. The display will clear and then show INS. Insert the first cuvette. In less than 10 seconds, the percent saturation of the sample will be displayed. The 3000 then calculates and displays O2 content. Remove the first cuvette. When INS appears, insert the second cuvette. The oximeter will display the measured oxygen saturation and then calculate oxygen content of the second sample. By removing the second cuvette, the unit automatically displays the AVO2 difference. To review each value, just press either of the green arrows. THB, arterial percent, arterial content, venous percent, venous content, and AVO2 difference. The Oxicom 3000 will cycle through each value for your verification. To perform a second oxygen content and AVO2 difference, press the green Start button. THB will again be displayed. If a new patient is studied and the total hemoglobin is different than the previous value, make the necessary change and proceed with the two new samples. Blood handling. For proper calibration and personal safety, please follow these techniques consistently. Before any samples are drawn, prepare all cuvettes needed during the cath procedure. Please use special care while handling the cuvettes. Avoid touching the windows or large flat sides. Place the porous filter plug firmly into the short neck of the cuvette. The long neck is placed on the syringe. The task of collecting a sample and transferring it to the cuvette requires timing and technique. A sample is drawn from a flushed line into a heparinized syringe. All samples should be analyzed within 10 minutes. All air bubbles must be expelled from the syringe prior to transferring the sample to the cuvette. To do so, hold the syringe in a vertical position with the tip up and inject a small sample of blood into a 4x4 or tissue. Then place the cuvette over the syringe tip, twist and secure in the vertical position. Slowly inject the blood into the cuvette while tapping the syringe body to expel any air bubbles. Fill the cuvette until the blood permeates the lower part of the filter. Once pressure is felt, stop. Note that no contact is made with the cuvette windows. The sample should be rolled in the horizontal position to ensure a homogeneous sample and avoid settling. A well-mixed sample has uniform color without visible streaking, color disparities, or separation. The sample is now ready for analysis. Calibration. Proper oximeter calibration is vital to optimum performance. This procedure is mandatory at installation. The daily calibration verification check is recommended for your own records. Calibration requires the following: 2 blood samples of at least 3 cc's each, an arterial sample of between 90 and 95%, a venous sample of between 60 and 65%, a total hemoglobin of between 10 and 14 grams per deciliter. These samples are to be measured by the hospital's co-oximeter before being used to calibrate the Oxicom 3000. Several modern co-oximeters measure oxyhemoglobin, methemoglobin, and carboxyhemoglobin and automatically measure functional oxygen saturation. Measured functional oxygen saturation is required for the calibration of the Oxicom 3000. Some older co-oximeters may not calculate the functional saturation. When using these, the saturation must be calculated manually. The manual formula is: the measured oxygen saturation percent is equal to the oxyhemoglobin divided by 100 minus the carboxyhemoglobin and minus the methemoglobin levels. All co-oximeters are very similar. For illustration purposes, we will use an IL 482. Inject the blood into the cuvette. Note that there is no plug in the end of the cuvette. Fill the cuvette to the base of the short neck. Wipe the sample probe first and sample from the cuvette directly. To maintain a sufficient level of blood in the cuvette as the co-oximeter is aspirating, slowly inject more blood into the cuvette. Immediately following the completion of the aspiration of the sample by the co-oximeter, place a porous filter in the cuvette and fill the cuvette until the sample permeates the filter and pressure is felt. Now, if necessary, calculate the total oxygen saturation. When analyzing the sample on the co-oximeter, the arterial sample measured an oxyhemoglobin level of 90.9, the carboxyhemoglobin level of 0.8, and the methemoglobin of 1.2. Therefore, measured oxygen saturation percent is equal to the oxyhemoglobin of 90.9 divided by 100 minus 2. This would calculate to an oxygen saturation percent of 92.7 for this sample. Repeat this procedure for the venous sample. When analyzing the sample on the co-oximeter, the venous sample measured an oxyhemoglobin level of 61.5, the carboxyhemoglobin level of 1.1, and the methemoglobin of 1.1. Therefore, measured oxygen saturation percent is equal to the oxyhemoglobin of 61.5 divided by 100 minus 2.2. This would calculate to an oxygen saturation percentage of 62.8 for the venous sample. You have now measured the arterial and venous samples required to calibrate the Oxicom 3000. To initiate the calibration mode, depress the Start button while powering up the Oxicom 3000. Remove your finger when the measurement display reads CAL. Notice that the CAL mode display is also lit and remains lit during the entire procedure. After the timed warm-up period has elapsed, CAL will appear on the display and the green Start button and arrows will light. By pressing the green Start button, INS will appear. Insert the arterial or high sample. Leaving the cuvette in the sample port, use either the up or down arrows to increase or decrease the displayed value to that of the sample value calculated on the co-oximeter, or in our example, 92.7%. After removing that cuvette, INS will appear again. Insert the second or lower sample. Again, we use the arrows to adjust until the sample value reads 62.8. Remove the second cuvette. The decimal points are flashing, indicating the oximeter is calibrating itself to the two samples. In less than 1 minute, it will display RDY and will be ready for your operation. The white Delrin stick is attached to the unit for daily verification of the oximeter. After calibration, Insert the Delrin stick into the sample port 5 times and record each value. Record that average on a data sheet as a standard. The Oxicom 3000 can be unplugged and moved back to your cath lab with the calibration locked into memory. Every morning, after the timed 15-minute warm-up period has elapsed, insert the stick into the sample chamber. Because the Delrin stick has a known optical property, any change greater than plus or minus 3% indicates recalibration is required. By following this daily calibration verification and the recommended accuracy checks, the Oxicom 3000 will give you many years of trouble-free, accurate saturations. Refer to the manual for complete details on all subjects as well as troubleshooting and maintenance. Waters Instruments offers the MRM2 metabolic rate monitor to obtain oxygen consumption in the cardiac cath lab without using either nose clips and spirometer or the estimated oxygen consumption tables. To obtain further information on the Waters products designed for your cardiac cath lab, call the Waters Instruments Medical Systems team at 1-800-426-9877.